Ladies and gentlemen, hello from the MLG studios here in New York City. My name is axeltoss. I am joined by axslav. You're watching the Winter Exhibition, a tournament involving the round 1 losers from the Winter Championship event. We're down to 5 players. We got 3 quarterfinalists, and we got 3 semifinalists, excuse me, and we got 1 more semifinalist spot to give out today.
That's right. This is the last day of the quarterfinals. You can see the brackets right there. Marine King, Bly, and CJ Hero have all advanced to the semifinals. Which of Creator and Thorzain will join them? We'll find out shortly, and it's going to be an amazing match.
Protoss, Zerg, Terran, currently in the semifinals. 2 Koreans, 1 foreigner. Right now, there's 1 last foreigner versus Korean matchup remaining in the quarterfinals. Of course, here's your schedule. Monday, Hero versus Sase. Tuesday, Creator versus Thorzain. Today is Tuesday. So today is Creator versus Thorzain. Yes, I did not misspeak. Best of 5. If you missed yesterday's match, youtube.com/officialmlgst2. It's there right now in 1080p. Tomorrow is going to be semifinal A. The next day, semifinal B. Friday will be the grand final of the Winter Exhibition. The winner gets $1,000. Second place gets 500. But today's match, oh my gosh, I'm so pumped for this one. I know a lot of people have been looking forward to it as well. It is Thorzain, dubbed the King of the North by a lot of people. Perhaps not Naniwa. Of course, from Evil Geniuses, going up against Creator, a Korean Protoss who kind of came out of nowhere, but has been destroying faces lately.
He really has. Creator is extremely, extremely good this game. I mean, it was unfortunate he fell in that first round of the Winter Championships. Of course, that was to Pult, who, you know, historically, Pult has always had Creator's number, but that's just been his bane. If you take Pult out of the equation, Creator is an absolute monster. I mean, he got 2nd in the Blizzard World Finals. You know, first in WCS Korea, very, very strong Protoss opponent. But, you know, well, actually, one thing, before I move on to Thorzain, one thing I'll say about Creator is there's 2 opinions on Creator. There's some people who say, you know what, he's a really good Korean Protoss, one of those really good Korean players. There's other people who say he's the best Korean Protoss. So when, like, the worst thing people say about you is, oh, he's just another Codes player, like, just one of the... if that's the worst thing people can say is that
I'd be okay
Codes.
with that criticism if someone said that about me.
Absolutely dominant player. But Thorzain is I think... you know, Thorzain's a player who's interesting because a lot of people may be saying, okay, he got knocked out by Killer in the first round of the MLG Winter Championships, and Creator is a more accomplished player than Killer, right? Well, first of all, a lot of people underrate Killer. This guy, I mean,
Killer is so underrated. I know this match isn't about him, but
he's one of the most underrated guys. Yeah. And also, it's a different matchup. Thorzain is a guy who we've seen him beat some of the best in the world in TVP. I still remember that match. I think it was like an IM a long time ago versus MC. It was an amazing series. I think he lost. It was like 3-4 or something crazy.
Right.
And his TVP is like mind-blowing.
You can see the win rate there.
Yeah, it is. And I think it's actually even more than that win rate differentiates, because if you watch his TVP, like 80% of his losses are to 2 base timings because he often skimps on bunkers. But if he gets that late game, he basically never loses. Like I've seen like 1 in 10.
That's his play style. He generally is going to be a guy who will play for the late game. He feels like that's where he excels, and he does. He would be right. But against Korean players, you know, is that necessarily going to happen?
It's hard to make it there. Against a macro guy like Creator.
Yeah.
He might end up 50 food down before he can even get there, and that's a rough spot.
This is Heart of the Swarm, so we'll see how Thorzain can, you know, implement the new toys that has been given to him. Like if he decides, all right, I'm going to take a gas and go for Widow Mines or something like that. Should be really interesting to see. Of course, this is a best of 5, and it's going to be starting whenever Nick decides.
Right now.
Right now?
I decide now. Let's do it.
All right.
First map, of course, Cloud Kingdom. This is a map that, you know, the drop play between the main and the third can be very hard for Protoss to stop, as that third and main are very close by air, but very far by ground. But Thorzain, not known as much for drop play, but more meticulous late game style in a direct confrontation. But this map, there's so many angles around the map, Creator may be able to outmaneuver him.
Cloud Kingdom is one of the most prestigious maps out there. Pretty much everyone watching probably knows about this map. Now, interestingly enough, it's not currently in the Blizzard ladder map pool, so there might be some newer viewers that we have who haven't necessarily been exposed to it, at least from a playing standpoint. And this is making the broad assumption that most of our viewers actually play StarCraft 2 Heart of the Storm, which I would be interested in seeing the statistics on. But anyway, Cloud Kingdom is definitely going to be well known for both of these 2 guys. So there's no elements of, okay, I'm not familiar with this map. I don't necessarily know what strategy I want to go for. So here we are in the top right-hand location of Cloud Kingdom. We have the red Protoss player representing Team Prime He is Creator. And his opponent in the bottom left, it's the blue Terran player dubbed the King of the North. He hails from Sweden and is a member of Team Evil Geniuses. He is Thorzain. I think he's in... Is he in Korea right now?
He's been going back and forth.
Has he?
I don't know. I think he is in Korea currently.
Yeah. Because I know he did...
I know he's on their roster for the Pro League. So they have the option of playing him, which doesn't necessarily mean he's in Korea, but I think it is.
You actually have him on your anti-team.
No, I don't.
I know, I was kidding. I'm trying to put you in that awkward situation.
I would never put a Terran on my anti-team. You
well
know me.
said.
You know me.
Well said.
Oh, look at this. A proxy barracks going down by Thorzain. No gas follow-up, so it's just going to be Marines. One barracks in his main, one over there proxied. And you know, if Creator doesn't see that proxy, he's going to assume it's
command center first.
Or one barracks command center.
Oh, yeah, sure, yeah.
So that can really throw him off. And the thing is, there's only one less SCV in Thorzain's main than there would be normally at this time. That's very hard to tell. If you get into main and they're doing a double proxy racks, a good Protoss will not assume it's a command center first, because they'll notice two SCVs missing that early is usually noticeable. But one isn't always so obvious. So Creator, you know, there's no Zelt being produced. He doesn't have a second gas, so he's going to have a hard time getting that mothership core in addition to Stalkers out in the field. He may be in a hard spot. He's actually going to throw down a Nexus before he even builds a single unit, I believe.
No unit coming out of the gateway, no warp gate out of the Cybernetics core, no mothership core starting out of the Nexus, and there he goes, placing down a natural expansion, so he has no idea about this proxy play. Now we'll have to see when Thorzain decides to reveal this. Will he try to send an SCV forward, scout out the timing of the natural, and then try to place a bunker close by, and then of course ferrying the Marines over to that location? We'll keep an eye on that, but Creator returning guys back into gas, getting a Stalker out on the field, and we have the first, or we have a pylon going down outside the natural expansion, so Creator needs to get that Stalker out and about to scout exactly what's going on so we can start preparing a little bit better.
He definitely wants to do that. Typically, the Terran waits for about 5 Marines to go on the attack. If you have less than 5, it's too easy for that one Stalker to pick them off before too much damage is done. But once you do have those 5 Marines, you can usually buy enough time. In fact, he's going to go right now with 6, I believe. And that's usually enough that you can keep the Stalker busy while you build that bunker. Of course, without the bunker, you're going to get picked apart. Creator sees it coming. His Stalker's on retreat. What's his reaction? He's chrono boosting out another Stalker. Yep. That second one gets out, and that's going to help him immensely. Thorzain with only a few Marines, there's actually only one SCV here, which is curious, because with only one SCV, I don't really know what Thorzain expects to accomplish.
Yeah, I think he's just wanting to maybe kill a pylon, maybe slow down his opponent, maybe get a Stalker kill. If he's really lucky, getting into the main and getting some probe kills. But 2 Stalkers versus this many Marines should be just fine, especially for guys as good as Micro as Creator. As I say that, though, one of the Stalkers getting very low on health, backing up even more. 4 Marines remain. I'm a little bit surprised Thorzain didn't try to make a bunker. That could be a great distraction method while going after probes. And even if it gets done, that could be a great way to get a lot more damage done than usual. Creator is sending a lot of probes down to his natural expansion to help defend against this early aggression, but behind this Thorzain is taking an expansion, so he's not committing 100% to this.
Oh, some nice stutter stuff by Thorzain, taking out one Stalker, a second one almost going down as well. Both these Stalkers very hurt. Now the Marines making move for the probe line.
One probe going down, make that 2. Creator trying to target down these Marines, thinking about pulling those probes to try to get that surround. Only 2 Marines remain, and they're going to get taken out. So taking tabs of things, we have 6 workers killed here from Thorzain, 1 for Creator, 28 harvesters to 25 in favor of Creator, so it's not like a ridiculous trade was made there. I mean, Creator's even ahead in supply right now, 38 to 32, and he's going to push across the map with 3 Stalkers. I don't expect this to do too much damage, depends on if this bunker gets finished, but it looks like it was started early enough, so it should get finished.
I really feel Creator dealt with that very well. Typically, this rush is executed by pulling a couple SCVs, so you can build that bunker to force the Protoss to pull those probes, but with a single SCV, he wasn't able to get that going, and now 2 Stalkers on the counterattack. One of the Marines goes down, but the bunker should finish, and that should drive those Stalkers out. No more damage will be done. Meanwhile, a Barrack Scout, a very, very good scout here, seeing exactly what Creator's doing. And this is very important, because Creator could be going straight to DTs, could be going straight to Oracles, and those are both things that Terran needs to react to. So seeing the fact this is a very standard opening for Creator is got to be a nice benefit for Thorzain.
Thorzain sending another Marine there at the natural, getting 1 more probe kill. Of course, that's going to be a nice trade at this point in the game. 7 workers killed to 1 now at this point, but Thorzain still behind in supply, 51 to 44. He's going to start ramping up that unit production, though, because over the past minute or so, he's been making those reactors, making those add-on for the barracks, and now he's starting to create those units. So he should start surging up in supply as time goes along, adding on a factory. Looks like we don't have engineering base just yet, focusing exclusively on the barracks at this point, adding on that third base and just now taking those gases at his natural expansion. So it looks like he's going to start thinking about putting down those engineering bays fairly soon.
Creator gets Observer into Thorzain's base, sees the timing of the factory, and in fact, there's 2 reactors on the barracks, and he's got to be happy with what he sees because he's going for Colossus tech, and of course, Thorzain's starport is going to be very late. Thorzain's primarily Marine, so
yeah.
the Colossus is going to be insanely efficient against that. Thorzain is building a 3rd command center, but if he tries to move that down to 3rd base and he's unable to threaten drop counterattacks, in a straight-on engagement, as soon as the Colossus comes out, I think Creator is going to be favored.
Yeah, we'll see. It's going to be fairly interesting, you know, how much aggression Thorzain decides to place on. You never really want to let your Protoss opponent just, you know, do whatever he wants. And with the new toys that you have as a Terran player, like Medivacs that have Ignite Afterburners, there's definitely room to try to get that damage done. But the best Protoss players will be able to prevent that from happening, but I feel like Thorzain might try to get a little bit of harassment done, perhaps drop at a mineral line, at the main mineral line, try to drop at the natural expansion mineral line. It can be a little bit risky, but sometimes it's worth the risk to try to make that happen. To just keep your opponent honest and maybe throw them off their game and maybe even get some worker kills.
He'll definitely be looking to try to do some damage with those medevacs, at least to keep Creator busy until he can get a Viking fleet as well to deal with those Colossi. Combat Shield has also just been started, so I think Thorzain would want to defer any straight-on engagement until that upgrade finishes. 1-1 is on the way as well, so even though Creator started the upgrade first, he's only on a single forge, whereas Thorzain is going up to double engineering bay.
And it's pretty interesting. Creator is not being shy with his unit production at this point. It's not like he was saving a lot of money in favor of getting a 3rd, in favor of getting more gateways down early. He's playing this really safe. Getting the Colossus out, already has 6 Stalkers, 5 Zealots. He's got a lone sentry on the field, which is a little bit interesting. Generally, you're going to want at least 2 to 3 sentries so you can have force fields so that if your opponent decides to push your front door, you can have those force fields available to try to split them up a little bit. But looks like he's going to be relying exclusively on Zealots to pretty much tank so the Colossus can get damage done from the back. He's going to take that 3rd Nexus fairly quickly here after getting a couple Colossi out. At the same time, Thorzain's going to be able to recognize this and bring his command center down to the low ground. So both these guys approaching 3 bases, gone through the mid game just fine. Looks like they're comfortable pushing this a little bit later.
I really like the way Thorzain's playing, going for a double Stargate Viking production and continuing his upgrades by getting the armory so he's ready to start 2-2. If Creator doesn't have Storm Tech up, by the time Thorzain gets 2-2 upgrade finishes, what's going to happen is Creator's army is going to be vastly inferior because by that time Thorzain will have caught up in the air control, have enough medevacs to beat the Gateway army, and enough Vikings to beat the Colossi. Creator has got to get that Storm up to counter that. He's got a couple minutes before Thorzain's really production kicks into full gear, but in his next couple minutes, if he doesn't have Storm, he'll be in problem. Thorzain going for a Nexus cancel.
Yeah, stimming up there and targeting down the Nexus. That's not going to be able to do enough damage to get any main health done. He's going to try to go to the main base. There's a lot of Stalkers here from Creator. He's actually backing away a little bit, trying to bait those medevacs forward, but these medevacs might be trapped. No, it looks like Thorzain is going to be able to sneak out at the top there. And Creator, nice defense there, holding on to that 3rd.
A nice defense. I really like the way he spread his units up. He knows that in the frontal attack, Stalkers aren't as useful, so he keeps the Zealot Colossi force there at the front. But then to defend the drop, that's where the Stalkers can excel because they can focus down those medevacs.
Now, considering Thorzain opened up with this Colossi play, Creator did, he's not going to be as mobile as he potentially would be if he went for a more gateway-centric composition with a lot of High Templars, which means drops might be a little bit more tricky to take care of because if you're trying to lug your Colossi in between bases, there's a lot of holes, a lot of exposure. If you have one unit caught off guard or in the wrong location, that Thorzain's definitely going to try to take advantage of. For now, though, it looks like he's going to poke into the 3rd once again. Should be zipping out of there with those medevacs fairly soon. At the same time, applying a little bit of pressure on the right-hand side of the map. Creator definitely knows Thorzain has a presence there, so he has to be careful, has to be aware of that area.
What's Immortal doing? Immortal's walking down the middle. Thorzain sees it.
What?
Oh,
Immortal, go home.
He is going to go home back to Ire as he is destroyed. Thorzain takes a nice little 4-food pickup right there, and that's also going to tip Thorzain off to the fact that Creator has to be transitioning to Templar. If you're making Immortals, it means you're not making Colossi. It means you have extra gas. Where's that gas going? Going straight for the Templar. Of course, Thorzain actually already anticipated this. His ghosts are almost out, and everyone knows once Thorzain has ghosts, that's a very scary force.
Oh, one Colossus getting very bold here. The medevac's going to pick up those Marines, and interestingly enough, Creator is able to get a pylon here on the left-hand side of the map, and this is a great thing to be able to do as a Protoss player. Always having those options for counterattacks. You like dropping a Zealot or 2 or 3, actually great feedbacks there. I think
Yeah.
Creator was able to...
One medevac went down, the other one very low. It's going to be useless for a little while.
But yeah, pylons across the map. It's a great way to have those counterattack opportunities a little bit later, and also spotting for drops, especially at this point in time. These pylons aren't going to be that, important relative to the early game, right? Because you're going to have some extra pylons because your supply is going to be just fine. So pretty cool play here from Creator.
Creator's moving out to take his 4th base. Thorzain retreating, giving up Creator's side of the map as Creator has to move out as well to take his watchtower. It's very important to control your watchtower when you want to move out to take a 4th base. Thorzain is still trying to power up for his mass ghost composition, adding more and more Vikings into the mix as well. Actually, some people may say he's over Vikinging because he's at 14 Vikings versus 2 Colossi, building 2 more. So he's investing a lot more to Vikings than Creator is into Colossi, but if he can get Cloak for his ghosts and then utilize the Vikings to snipe observers, they will have that secondary use as well.
It'll be very tough to deal with. Of course, Creator doing this pressure to try to keep that 4th safe. Coming up to the 3rd base, Thorzain has plenty of Vikings in the air and Ghosts on the ground. A little bit of a hole made here in between these supply depots, but Creator immediately get it back away saying, you know what, that's way too many Vikings, way too much bio. Not the best engagement position, but he's going to try to turn around again. Creator very indecisive here. I think Thorzain's going to have the better engagement. These Marines and Marauders getting so much damage done. EMPs being laid down as well. Vikings trying to pursue those Colossi, but there's no Colossi left. EMPs blanketing on top of this entire Protoss army. Thorzain is handling this perfectly, I think.
I love how he focused the Archons down very fast. Once the Archons are out there, the Zealots have a hard time getting through the medevac heal rate. Thorzain's powering through, even with the huge investment in Vikings. His ground army is too strong.
Oh my
The
gosh.
Mortals can't retreat. The Stalkers ditched him. Creator is really now as he tries to warp in Templars to defend the potential counter swing from Thorzain.
He's making him an Archons too, not even gonna try to bank up for Storm, which
he feels he doesn't have time, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a scary moment. Those Marines and Marauders are coming across the map, but in hindsight, if he had known that Thorzain wasn't obviously going to attack him right now, those High Templars definitely would have stayed High Templars so you can start accumulating that energy. And that's the thing about that last engagement there. Outside of Thorzain's 3rd base, Creator did not have that AoE that's so important. Colossi were shut down immediately by all those Vikings from Thorzain, and then Thorzain had beautiful EMPs, able to blanket that on top of the Protoss army, including those High Templars, so no storms were available. So Creator's got to be really careful with the High Templar placement, and of course, being aware of the potential of Cloak, having observers there just in case those ghosts decide to turn invisible and start doing whatever they want.
Thorzain now looking to put on the pressure onto Creator's 4th base. Creator with a great spread to try to minimize the damage of EMPs. Thorzain still has that Viking squad. How's he going to try to utilize the potential? He could land him at a different base to attack. He could land him to support this attack. He's looking for the observer snipes, utilizing his scans right now.
Ghost coming forward, looking for the High Templar. There go the EMPs onto the Archon. Still a ridiculous bio army here.
Beautiful storm dodge.
Great dodge of that storm. Creator trying to get rid of this bio army, but so many medevacs up above healing these Marines and Marauders is becoming very difficult for Creator to deal with this. He's down 172 to 140 in supply. These guys are exchanging blows. The Vikings have decided to land, try to get some DPS down on the ground. Archons continuing to try to come forward here, but they're getting very low on those shields, and their HP is only 10, so you got to be careful when those shields get low, because they will die in a matter of seconds.
3 of the 4 Archons have almost no shields. Thorzain retreats a bit, realizing he's out of ghosts and worried about potential Templar reinforcements.
Yeah.
It is a valid worry, as we can see Creator had 2 additional Templar just arriving in with maximum energy. Creator's also trying to Zealot counterattack to Thorzain's 3rd base.
Yep.
Catching 2 ghosts, a big win.
This is what we talked about, trying to EMP. I think EMPing themselves even and giving their own energy, but it doesn't matter. Creator going straight to that 3rd base with those 4 Zealots. There's some SCVs there doing not so much. They're going to start trying to target down these workers, but at this point, I don't think Thorzain is too worried about losing SCVs, considering his orbital command count is about to be ridiculous. He might even approach 6 fairly soon, as he has 4 approaching. That's probably going to be planetary, yeah. So he's going to have possibly 5 if he turns he turned 1, thinking about turning the other. But the point is, Thorzain's at that point where he's going to be willing to give up some SCVs in favor of additional orbital commands.
He is. Thorzain has a bold ghost heading towards Creator's 4th. Decides better and backs away, saying, you know what? 2 Marines and myself may not take... Oh, another ghost goes down, and... Oh, another one! These are so expensive units. Remember, each ghost is 200 minerals and 100 gas. That's a lot of resources to be throwing away there. 300 every single time you make a move like that. So Thorzain's got to be careful because, yes, he took one really good fight by his 3rd base. But remember, Creator's 4th was up for a much longer time than Thorzain's. And Creator's used that extra economy to boost himself back into this game. Both players nearing max now. Thorzain looking for a 5th. Creator starting a 5th as well. And Creator's trying to use his Zealot. Oh, he spots a drop on the left side of the map.
That's a good spot. All these Zealots might be forfeit, but Creator's at the point where he might be starting to bank some minerals, so he doesn't mind too much. However, he's going to be engaging with a little bit of his army here, not the entire thing. High Templars trying to flank in for the back. Ghosts are waiting. Slowly but surely going to be waiting for those High Templars, so those EMPs can come into effect. Thorzain might be a little bit vulnerable here. The storm's going down onto the Bio army. Thorzain is running out of room to retreat. And look at these great storms here from Creator. Looks like a fairly solid engagement, but Thorzain still just has too much, it seems.
There's too many medevacs. Creator was very Archon heavy as well, and the EMPs, well, they didn't deal with the Templar. They did take out the Archons. The Viking fleet moves in now, saying who's in disguise to mess with us. Creator, of course, has not been focusing too much on Colossi, knowing that Thorzain has kept the majority of his Vikings alive.
Yeah.
A little Zealot at the bottom right, poking away at that orbital or that planetary fortress. 2 SCVs going to repair. They're going to go now quickly, so an effective Zealot, although I do think that orbital or the planetary will probably get up and take it out. Thorzain looking to deny mining from the top of the cliff behind Creator's 4th base, but afraid if he goes back there, he'll be cut off, and Creator could set up a massive flank.
Only 1 High Templar is on the field right now here for Creator. Only 1 Colossus as well, which will get shut down very quickly by these 10 Vikings. A lot of Vikings there. So,
oh man, look at that unit count from Thorzain. We can see are very much favoring the Ghosts and Vikings, the power-hitting units of the Terran race. We can see a lot of Terrans don't play this style. They go very Marine and Marauder heavy, which of course Thorzain opened with, but as it gets to the late game, he knows that Marines and Marauders are a little more vulnerable to Archons, High Templar, Colossi.
Yeah.
So he transitions to the very powerful late game force, which is predominantly Ghosts, Medevacs, and Vikings, and even getting a Cloak upgrade now. Once that Cloak finishes, Creator is going to have an almost impossible time fighting in the open, as observers are going to be short-lived against that Viking fleet.
Ghost coming forward, looking for the vulnerable Protoss army. The Vikings going to take that Colossus down in a matter of seconds. Yep, it's gone. The Archon trying to get splash damage done. Creator going to be turning around, trying to do some damage here. Great EMPs onto the High Templar, forcing Creator to morph those High Templar into Archons. I don't see much AoE here at all here from Creator. Only 1 High Templar on the field. I'm not sure exactly where it is, but you know, if I'm Creator, I'm going to be very wary of the possibilities of my opponent cloaking and again taking down my entire army. So Creator has to make sure he keeps his observers alive, keep them near the back of his army, so that Thorzain can't take advantage of that.
It's very hard to keep observers alive against a player like Thorzain. What Creator is doing is actually very smart. He's not putting any observers in his army, because that's where Thorzain's scanning.
Right.
He's putting them way in front. In fact, he's had these observers on the middle of the map. 2 of them, in fact, basically keeping tabs on where Thorzain is, and those have stayed alive for quite a long time. But on the left side of the map, Thorzain scans, there's no observers. Cloak is done, so we can potentially cloak those Ghosts and go to town.
Yeah, he's scanning. He's looking for those observers. Look out for the Cloak to come in shortly. I'm looking. You can see he's continuing to scan, blanketing the EMPs onto the Stalkers. Once again, trying to take those out. Creator immediately going to be blinking away. I'm looking for that High Templar. Another EMP going down. Not the best place to engage here for Thorzain, but he doesn't care. Cloak going down, and immediately Creator going to be backing away, realizing the tragedy that's about to happen, considering he doesn't have any observers. He's storming on nothing, just anticipating where the Ghosts are going to be. The Vikings extending forward, trying to take down these Colossi. Here we go. Creator going to try to go for the engagement. Great storm once again, but still has no way of seeing those Ghosts. Observer finally coming forward here from Creator. We'll see if Thorzain decides to scan and take that out, but Creator is going to continue to back away. Thorzain ahead in supply now, 177 to 155. There's the scan, looking for that observer, but Creator doing a solid job holding this push off.
2 observers there by Creator. What's very important there is he killed all the Vikings with the Archons.
DTs.
Now it's just Ghosts, DTs, Zealots, Stalkers, and Mortals plow through, and Thorzain's army takes a serious hit there.
Thorzain going to have to retreat, going to have to regroup. He has a decent bank, so he's been rallying units in throughout that whole engagement. Going to have to cancel his command center on the middle left-hand side. He's not too worried about that, considering he has this base at the middle right and at the very bottom right as well. Planetary turret there, great combination. Is going to be able to deal with most things thrown in that direction. Importantly, he's kept his medevacs alive throughout the majority of this game. He still has, it looks like, 8 medevacs still alive, continuing to add on those Vikings, continuing to add on those Ghosts, but he's down to 4 Ghosts. Remember, he had about, I think he had around 20 or so.
He was up there, yeah.
Yeah, that Creator was able to essentially shut down. So Creator doing a great job handling this unit composition so far for Thorzain.
Thorzain maybe overcommitted, trying to go for that top left, got stuck in a spot where he couldn't maneuver. The battle's in the open, though. Every time it's a battle in the open where Thorzain can move around, he's taking them dramatically. When it's a closed battle in the top left, that's where Creator strikes back and gets his big wins. Going forward, which player can control where the engagements are going to take place. That's going to be the key thing to look for.
Yeah, and Cloud Kingdom is, that's basically the story of the map. There's so many different places where the battles can go so differently. Top of the ramp, bottom of a ramp, and a choke point. Giving yourself flanking opportunities. We'll have to see if Creator tries to add on more pylons across the map, so we can have those options. We see a pylon at the middle right-hand location, sending a counterattack to the bottom right, putting the Stalkers behind the middle line.
Beautiful
Genius
move.
play here from Creator. That's exactly what you need to do when you're fortunate with a setup like this. Once he kills his turret, he can even send a DT in there as well, because there will be no detection unless, of course, Thorzain is able to scan in time before too many SCVs or mules end up falling. But Thorzain adding on a lone Raven here to this unit composition. Creator able to secure this top left-hand base and this middle left, but those are going to start drying out. So these players are going to start needing to worry about taking an additional base beyond just this.
I love that blink stalker harass on the bottom right base. I mean, yes, Thorzain clears it up and the 3 stalkers died, but the amount of mining time that Thorzain lost there, and even the gas time as well, that all adds up. Is very significant. Whereas 3 stalkers at this point in the game are not that big a deal. We can see him doing the same thing, trying to warp in 2 stalkers, but these 2 might get spotted. The Marauders, of course, with concussive shells. Force that blink. Can't Thorzain cut those off? Either case, 2 stalkers, not the end of the world. Thorzain adding more and more command centers into his army composition, or building composition, I guess you should say.
Sure. Let's see, structures tab, and we can see where the command centers. 4 orbital commands right now, and 1 command center, and 1 command center in production. So he's going to be up to 6 orbitals fairly soon, unless he decides to make 1 into a planetary. I love what Creator's doing here. He's adding on 2 cannons on the high ground. This can be instrumental when you're dealing with those cloaked ghosts, because if your observers get sniped, these cannons can be a great backup plan. You have to be careful, however, because Thorzain might just stem forward 3 or 4 Marauders and try to take those out, which can be pretty annoying indeed. But both these players essentially maxed at this point, trying to plan out their next move.
The way this game is going to evolve is the bases on the right and left-hand side are going to be very important. We see Thorzain is trying to take this left-hand side base, moving forward with the sensor tower and missile turret. Creator is holding the high ground. It'd be very bad for Thorzain if he tries to get up on that high ground like you mentioned. There's a photon cannons. Creator also has a great unit spread. He's got a lot of Colossi, full energy Templar, a very strong army. Thorzain doesn't want to head up into that, but on the other hand, Creator can't come down, because if he tries to come down, he'll get bunched on the ramp. The Ghost will take him out. But now Creator is using the fact that Thorzain won't want to go up the ramp. He's saying, you know what, I can hold this high ground with a portion of my force.
Sure.
And I'll send another portion along the right side. We can see there mostly Zealots, a couple of Mortals. This is a great planetary fortress sniping army he's moving across. But I think the factory saw it. How is Thorzain going to react? He's got 1 medevac full of troops, and that's all it takes. Some extra DPS to kill those Zealots. And I think Thorzain will defend this just fine.
He's going to try to target down the planetary. The Immortals targeting it down as well. SCV is desperately trying to repair the planetary fortress, getting very low in health, down to 300, down to 200. The Immortals getting targeted down to 100, down to, oh my god, almost dying, but Thorzain keeps it alive somehow, some way. And
that pissed Creator off, though. His army is swarming down the left side. Oh, he sees Thorzain has too much.
Yeah. Look at all those ghosts, too, and a Raven.
I think he was hoping Thorzain would overcommit and send his force to the bottom right. But Thorzain defended with just the perfect amount of units and didn't leave Creator that opening to take down the left side base.
All right, so, I don't see a way for Creator really to deal with this position that Thorzain has at the middle left. Oh, great feedbacks onto the medevacs. I think he got a Raven there as well. Great pickoffs there. But, it's almost a situation where is Creator going to let Thorzain have this base in the middle left? Is there anything he can do about it?
Well, it looks like he's just going to try the massive attack. Doesn't want to Thorzain have that for too long. Going to siege that planetary fortress. Zealots charging on the right side.
Look out for the EMP. Storm's going down onto the Ghost. Colossus doing a lot of damage from the right-hand side. Raven coming forward. Is going to get killed fairly quickly. The Vikings getting stormed there by those High Templar, but the Colossi are still alive. Still 3 in the air. The Vikings going down. GG from Thorzain, and Creator able to shut down that base and take the game.
He just absolutely muscled through Thorzain's composition. I think the key thing in that battle is the fact that Creator had such a beautiful Templar spread. And he had amazing storms in that battle. And on the other hand, Thorzain, while he showed great ghost control earlier in the game, in that battle, every single one of his ghosts was clumped up on the far right side. They got taken out by a single storm, and Colossi pretty much took out about 20 ghosts there. And he wasn't able to get any EMPs on really those High Templar. And without those EMPs, the Storm took down the Vikings, and the Colossi had no answer. Yeah,
Creator was just able to come in from pretty much every single angle, and that's really important at that point in time. That actually took me off guard a little bit. Thorzain leaving right there. He had 3,000 in the bank, 1,000 in gas, but it's kind of a situation where when you lose that many ghosts and your opponent's standing army is still so massive and so cost efficient and scary. I mean, we still had 3 Colossi there. We still had 2 High Templar, 2 Mortals, 4 Archons. it's hard to justify staying in the game and trying to get the unit composition. You need to actually deal with that. So Creator doing a great job, just amassing his army and getting that one big convincing engagement, which was able to obviously convert him to victory.
A beautiful setup there by Creator. We can really see in this game the different players' skill sets. Thorzain, if it came down to micro into battle, was so amazing with his ghost. But when it came down to positioning pre-battle,
right,
we saw Creator caught him in a beautiful position in the top left earlier. And then that final battle, the positioning of Creator was so much superior. He was able to isolate the ghost on the far side, and that's pretty much all it came down to.
And make sure to have at least a couple Colossi trying to target those down, and then having obviously the Storm supplementation as well. But Creator is going to be up 1-0 in this best of 5, so Thorzain still has some room to work with. You're watching the Winter Exhibition. We're trying to find out who's going to be the last semi-finalist in the tournament, where first place gets $1,000, second place gets 500. Guys, stay tuned. Game 2 coming up.